This module is covering power tools, and this is the second portion of power tools, looking at specialized tools in our industry that is maybe not maybe common, used every day, but will be tools that you use time to time. So again, as we look at hand and power tools, uh, the tools is only as good as the operator. When the craftsman becomes proficient in their skills, the tools become secondary. And in other words, they will be able to accomplish the job with very good tools or even with tools not as good. It comes from the skills from that tradesman. Again, power tools, part two. And the objectives of this section, um, we should be able to, again, use safely power drill press, using routers and laminated trimmers. And laminated trimmers is basically a special bit put into a router. You should be able to describe the safe use of portable power planes, which that's something you need to be trained in because it can be very dangerous. Got a high speed blades that is spinning extremely fast and can uh, work very well for the purpose you need it for, but if not in the hands of a trained person, can certainly cause issues. Should be able to um, perform uh, the use of power shears and safely use pneumatic and cordless nailers and staplers. There will be a performance test, and you will be using these different tools in the lab, and to get experience knowing how to handle these tools. So that's extremely important to read about it, but to put your hands on it would make all the difference in the world. So again, um, question I have: what power tools are needed to construct a freestanding one-car garage? And give you a few minutes to think about that. As you think about it, you could stop it, this video right at this point, if you like, and just maybe jot down some things. And to really think, just to build a one-car garage, what would you need? Well, here's some of the things you will need: a circular saw, drills. Matter of fact, not just drills. Today, drill drivers are really common these days. The impact drivers, cordless tools, pneumatic nailers. Of course, they make pneumatic is certainly there, but they use the ones with the shots in it. Paslo make a very good tool that has a fuel, and basically it has a little piston in it that was driven from the fuel that's in it to drive the nails. Staplers for the sheeting for the shingles on the roof. A compound miter saw to cut angles. A router, possible, depending what you're using it for, and possible power plane. Drill presses, there are many different types. When it's a drill press, of course there's drills. A drill press is something that have a table on it, and it can be stationary, and it should be stationary because it shouldn't be able to move around. But they do make portable ones that can lock down, or they make benchtop ones. Personally, myself, I have a benchtop a type of um, drill press, and it does pretty much what I need. So again, uh, floor and benchtop models are common for shop work. They also make a electromagnetic base drill press that you can take to the job site. But you have to have some type of metal table out of steel or iron that you can lock it down to. If not, you have to be able to secure it somehow. Routers is a high speed tool that shapes metal. Shape wood. It could be plastic too. It could be used for multiple different things. Uh, Basically, it will trim and different shapes um, into wood and or plastic. Usually wood. Plastic at high speed can melt, depending what type of bit you have. But again, a router is a portable electric tool used to cut joints and patterns into wood. Now, routers have high-speed motors that allow the tool to make clean, smooth cuts. And when I say it's high speed, it is extremely high speed, and it make a really winding, high-pitched sound because of the speed of it. And it shaves off the the wood to shape it into different things. So you buy special bits to be able to make these different designs or shapes into wood. In other words, you can use it for molding, trimming out certain things, making rabbet joints or beveling the edges or making a dovetail, like for drawers and cabinet making, a dado, fluting or reading. All these are different, or mortising, all different types of joints that can be formed by using a router. A laminated trimmer, that is actually used in a router too. And we making countertops with laminated countertops. When you're gluing the laminate to the wood, the edges usually extend out. But to trim it down to make it very even edges, we would use a router to trim off the edges and to shape it. Portable power planes. This is another type of, it's like a hand plane, but it has a blade in that spins very quickly that have usually multiple blades in it, two or three blades in it. And it will spin and rotate, and it will use it for shaping the wood um, to, to clean up the edges. If you got rough sawn wood, it can shape it to make it very smooth. And so again, it's a high speed tool. Just have to be careful with it because it spins, and it can cause us a lot of damage if it's not used correctly. Um, they make tabletop ones and they make portable ones. So if you do cabinet making, you will certainly have a tabletop or a bench top type of uh, power plane. So it can straighten wood out. In other words, you got a bowl in wood, you can trim out those so you could it even. You could edge planing to smooth it out. Chamfering is like cleaning the edges of it, or beveling. Power shears is probably not used in carpentry that much unless the carpenter is flashing around a roof or chimney. They can use it for cutting sheet metal. So basically, a power metal shear is just for trimming metal. And there's different types. They have notchers, and they have one that actually trim out a section of the metal. Of course, you can use hand type of shears, but the the power shears, of course, it can be faster and a lot easier on your hand. Pneumatic nailers and staplers. Now, this is extremely common now. It speeds up our job. You don't have to just sit there with a hammer and nail and hammer nails in one at a time. And here you can perform the nailing process or stapling in a fraction of the time it would normally take using nails. About time you can nail one nail, and you probably shot six of these nails or staples into the to wood to hold things together. So it's just that fast to speed up the process. And so you have different types of nailers, either for finishing or for construction. So a construction nailer would shoot larger nails, and for finishing would use finishing nails that for trim work and other things. Staples can be used for furniture or roofing and things like that. So they make special nailers and staplers for the particular type of job. So again, since it's pneumatic, you have to have an air compressor and you have to have air holes to connect this pneumatic nailer to the air compressor. And like I say, it's very very it's inexpensive compared to the power ones they use that have the fuel. So again, um, depend on your budget. But the nice thing about the pneumatic ones is that it's pretty self. Uh, it's well, I'll put it this way: it's hard to destroy one of those things, and if you do, it's easier to fix and less costly because there's not many moving parts in this thing. And so compared to one that you have to put a fuel in, and of course, is like a combustion engine that shoots off. You got to have a power supply, like a battery or something to it's inside of it to ignite the fuel in the chamber. But again, pneumatic nailers are extremely common these days. Again, these are some of the things that we use it for nailer or stapler activity. Identify whether a nailer or a stapler is best tool for the following tasks. So let's go through this and you could check it off. Um, Installing finishing work, installing ceiling tiles, installing paneling, constructing cabinets, installing insulation, installing framing. Okay, some of these definitely staplers. As a matter of fact, only a few of them. And so again, when it comes to the nailers, they come in both finishing and it comes with the construction for roughing in um, the studs and uh, rafters and joists. So again, check it off. We will talk about it in this next slide. So as you look at this slide, you can see the answers. Only three of these will use a stapler. Installing ceiling tiles, that makes sense since it's very thin and soft material. You don't want to drive a nail through it. A nail will just shoot right through it. So you use a stapler. Paneling, you can certainly use a stapler for that too. And then insulation, again, because it's thin, a nail is certainly not the proper tool to use unless you're using a roofing nail. But a stapler is typically what you would use. Everything else we use some type of nailer, either a finishing nailer or a construction nailer. So when it comes to safety and maintenance of pneumatic nailers, a couple of things you must keep in mind. There's safety built into it. You cannot just shoot staples or nails out randomly. It have to be pushed against the surface and engaged before it actually will release a staple or a nail. So you should never play with it because it can be dangerous. It can cause injuries. And so if it's ever damaged, replace it or take it out to some place to get it repaired because liability is too important to trust a damaged or broken pneumatic nailer because it is under pressure and it can drive, if you can drive nails into lumber, certainly you can drive nails into people and yourself. So pneumatic nailers and staplers are extremely dangerous. They are just as dangerous and deadly as a firearm. Never point these tools at anyone or in any one direction, even though there's a safety there. Don't trust it. When nailing or stapling, keep your hands away from the contact areas. So keep that in mind when we're working with nailers. Like I say, it could be your best tool because it saves you a lot of time. It can keep you um, more productive. So in the classroom, in the lab also, we should be prepared to list the safety precautions for each of the power tools that we will list on the board. So your instructor will write down some um, tools and need to think about some of the things to maintain them, but also the safety precautions you should keep in mind that you should know. Yes, you will be using these tools in the lab. However, understanding the safety portions of it will keep you out of trouble.